Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Angel Desk. I'm Wendy Taywater, creator of Angel Desk YouTube channel, as well as the Doomsday Coach, my Doomsday Coach Facebook page. So, as I promised you guys, we were going to start talking about the different subjects that are important to how we can start to move our lives into a positive direction. It is a beautiful night here in Deep East Texas, and it's quiet and it's dark, and the sky is beautiful, filled with stars, and it made me think of the millions of different kind of families we have nowadays. The old way is that we have a mom, a dad, two kids, and that was about it. And anybody outside the family was not a person of concern. Take care of me and mine is what we're used to hearing, right? But in today's society, despite all the craziness that's going on, we are developing new families. And I want to say that you can choose your family, but if you choose your family, do so wisely. I'm going to go ahead and start off with basics about what is a family. Many people say, oh, I know what that is. Don't worry about that. But others, they might not know what a family is. We keep forgetting that there are chasms of people that are alone, that have seen so much destruction that they really don't know what family is. So I'm going to start with the generic definitions of family. So we've got step families. So in that family, that they're also called blended families. That's where two divorced parents come together and then they each have children, or one has a child, and they agree to raise that child together. So that child becomes the stepchild. We also have the single parent families. Those are the families that unfortunately are becoming all too common these days, where there's only one parent that's involved in the rearing of the children and there's no one else around. We have two unmarried partners. So that's just two people who have decided to share their lives together and possibly bring kids into it, possibly not. Depends on what's going on. It's according to what they choose to do. And then we have the multi-generational family. This is very common across seas. These are our families that have mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, great grandma, and great grandpa, and then the children and the grandchildren. Those are very dynamic families, and I actually secretly am jealous of those kind of families. I like those. But nevertheless, we also have adoptive families. So couples choose to adopt a child from another family, a child that maybe doesn't have a family, or a child who comes from a dysfunctional family. Those are adoptive families. Then there are foster families. This is where a couple or a single person chooses to bring in children temporarily to help them make the transition. Say the parents are on drugs and they're trying to get into recovery and they cannot provide for their child right then and there. Then you have the foster family. So the child is temporarily placed in the home, and then once the parent recovers and becomes sober, or gets the job that they need to get, or provides the stable environment, the child can go back home to their family. And then we've got the children that are raised by grandparents. My mother was one of these children. One of my half brothers is one of these children, raised by a grandparent. So you can see we have all these wonderful, fantastic families that we're a part of. And, some people think of family and they think, all right, I love my family. And other people think, I don't want to, let's not talk about my family. Okay, let's just leave that alone. Okay. So we all come from a different type of family. So, you know, this series is supposed to be about how do I cope with my family. But as I thought about the material for this, I realized that this this subject is so broad that I'm going to have to break it down. So we'll probably end up with 3 videos per week for the next 4 weeks to talk about how to work and how to cope with family uh, in a positive and a negative way. So we need to figure out how we're going to recover as a family. So, we talked a lot about, and you've heard on the news and different things about how COVID-19 has horribly affected so many households. Money's gone, families members have passed away. It has been a truly trying time for this country and for the individuals in it, which is why this is so important to me to do right now. I'm actually a very reclusive person. I don't really like to be on video, but I felt that helping others, I'm being driven and called to help others. So, the other thing I want you to understand about me is that when we talk about family, I'm going to talk primarily from a Christian perspective. So you'll hear peppers of Christianity throughout it. Um, that doesn't mean I'm zealot and I'm against families that are not Christian. That's not correct. But I want to make it clear that I am a Christian and I'm a proud Christian. And as such, we will talk through a Christian worldview. So if that makes you uncomfortable, I'd like to encourage you to still sit through it because there's some good wisdom in this. And then there's some stuff you can leave. Good stuff take with you, bad stuff leave behind. It's up to you. But I need to be transparent and letting you know that I will be talking through a Christian worldview. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how do I cope as a member of a family. That's a broad subject. Some of us have lost families through COVID-19, through either separation or through death. And there's a lot of bereavement going on right now. A lot of people very sad, very unhappy. And unfortunately, when we have challenges in life, we have a tendency to disrupt our family dynamics. And you want to say, well, what are family dynamics? It's a good question. We hear that term thrown out a lot, but do we really talk about what it is? Not really. So let's talk briefly about the definition of family dynamics. So family dynamics are the pattern of interactions among relatives and the various factors that shape their interaction. So we have different family roles that are a part of that. The first role is of the golden child, hero, or the saint. Okay, this is the golden child. This is the child that does everything right, makes the good grades. It's the perfect child. But here's the thing: in a dysfunctional family dynamic, that golden child becomes a distraction from family problems because of his or her accomplishments of success. And the outcome of that child in adulthood is usually an adult who feels like they just can't mess up. Or if they make little mistakes, they feel like a complete failure. So that is the golden child. They also may become accustomed to the spotlight and feel special. So they feel like they're either better than everyone, or they feel like they're not as good as they need to be, or they need to do so many things to stay the golden child. A lot of pressure on this person. The next type of child or family member is the troublemaker or the scapegoat. You've heard of them. They're the black sheep. That's the one who's opposition to the golden child. So you have the perfect child, and then you have the drug addict, or you have the alcoholic child, or you have the rebellious child. All of these things is a sign of this child acting out the illnesses and mental health issues of the family, and as well as their own. They may be considered abnormal, and as such, they are ostracized from the family. They're treated like they don't belong, and they're always the one who's getting blamed for everything that goes wrong in the family, when really what that child's doing is it's providing the family another way of avoiding their problems. So you've got the good child that makes everything seem happy and fun, and then you've got the scapegoat who's the problem and we need to do something about. But we really don't get into the core issues, are we, when we start blaming the children in this way? The other child is the lost child. So this child when the golden child or the troublemaker receive the focus, the lost child is just that. They become lost. They're not really thought of. They may feel invisible, and they have extreme feelings of loneliness and abandonment. They crave love and attention. So the lost child is just kind of wandering off in the world by themselves. And then there's the peacemaker or the mediator. This is the one where if anything goes wrong, this is the child that comes in and they're in the middle of arguments. They're trying to get everybody to get back even keeled. They're trying to be the peacemaker, the humble one, the one to say, hey, we got to get it together. We're a family. Let's do this. And they usually find themselves most likely between the troublemaker and the parent, because this child can see both perspectives and they want to help everybody relate to each other. So they also may become confrontational. So this is the bossy child. Y'all need to do what's right. Y'all need to do this and y'all need to do that. That child can also be the bossy child. But then they might also, be so busy worrying about other people that they don't even think about their own needs. They might not take care of themselves physically, or they may not rest enough. So there's a lot that could go on with the peacemaker. And then you've got the mascot or the clown. This is the court gesture. It's the jokester. It's the one who's always playing jokes on everybody, trying to get everybody happy again. It's just a joke. We're just having fun. This is not that serious. Let's not do that. So they're usually the ones who try to break the family tension. But they may have difficulty connecting with negative emotions. In other words, they might have a hard time when you want to talk to them about something serious. They might want to crack a joke. They might just not be comfortable with those kinds of feelings. And then you've got the caretaker and the enabler. This usually goes in the dynamics of one parent. The caretaker and enabler, they take on the responsibilities of the family, and they try to save them from the consequences of their actions. So you usually see this in a maternal role. Usually the mom is the one trying to keep the family together and keep everybody from beating up each other. And they're also very common in families that have addicts. So if they're alcoholics or addicts, the caretaker will try to soothe everybody and take care of that addict, when actually what they're doing is they're not forcing the addict to take responsibility for their behavior, to hit rock bottom, to make the changes that they need to make. And you've got the doer. The doer takes action. They get things done. They're the go-getter. They're going. And you might see this manifested in duality. So you might see a child with several traits, or an adult with both of these traits. Two traits. They might be a doer and an enabler, or they might be a doer and a peacemaker. You can have what we call comorbidities or dualities in the dysfunction. So they can serve more than one role, especially when it's a small family. The problem with the doer is that they have a really hard time resting. They don't get enough sleep. They might be overweight. They have a lot of anger and resentment because they can't say no. So even though they're doing everything, they could say no, but they don't, and then they get mad about it. So that's a very dysfunctional pattern to fall into. And then the last type of family dynamic is the martyr. And this also usually is moms or it's dads who are providing for the family that say, oh, look at everything I've done for you. They really let everyone know what sacrifices are being made for the family. But the other part of it is that they also feel guilty for asking for help. So even though they may be saying, oh, look at all I've done for you, they kind of are really uncomfortable with saying, can you help me? I need help. Or they feel like if they ask for help, they're just not going to get it because everybody's a trouble except for them and causing them trouble. So those are the family dynamics. I'm trying to keep this short. Like I said, we'll send out 3 videos per week. So I want to challenge you between now and our next video to ask yourself, do I play any of these roles in my family? And as you think about that, really think about how that's affecting your family and the dynamics of your family. Because what's going to happen is that it only takes one person to break a pattern. If you can recognize it in yourself, you can help others cope and get through what role they're playing as well. It seems sugar coated. You might need additional intervention. You might need a counselor. It might not be that easy, especially in cases of domestic violence. And we'll talk a little bit about that in our next video. One of the biggest things that's happened over the time of the pandemic is there has been an increase in domestic violence. And I want to take that seriously, and I want to teach the people who are in those situations how to get out. The videos are short. I'm trying to keep them under 20 minutes. However, I will try to give you as many tidbits as I can during those times. But we need to talk about domestic violence because I'm really concerned about some households right now. So until next time, be safe and be the light and spread the light. Thank you. Angel Desk, Wendy Taywater, signing off.